The first game of the World Series between the Yankees and Dodgers was absolute cinema. Let's talk about it. The first inning of a pitching duel between two guys throwing for their childhood teams gave us a hint of the roller coaster this game would end up being, as following Jack Flaherty escaping a jam in the first, Garrett Cole was greeted by Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts both just missing early homers, passing it to Freddie Freeman, who went the other way for what looked like a simple hit, but with Verdugo stumbling, the injured first baseman would hustle all the way up to third on his beat up ankle, although this didn't end up being costly on a lineup, and these pitchers would lock in for a bit, because this scoreless tie held through 4, highlighted by both pitchers handling the top of the orders well, and this fantastic play by Rizzo in shallow right. However, in the 5th, when Kike Hernandez ripped one that Soto misplayed, he got all the way up to third for a triple, which allowed the Dodgers to drive home the first run on the Smith sac fly. But this would be short-lived, as with a runner on in the 6th, Giancarlo Stanton would sit back and crack an absolute moonshot down the line and left to throw the Yanks in front 2-1, sparking a small rally, and with them having to settle for loaded bases when Edman made this tremendous play to save a run, Banda out the pen struck out Verdugo to keep the deficit at 1. And even though Gratterall worked around a Judge hit for a scoreless 7th inning, highlighted by this funny barehanded play on a comebacker, the Dodgers failed to come through with runners in scoring position in the 6th and 7th, highlighted by great defensive work by Volpe and Jazz, meaning New York had the lead in the 8th inning, where although Ohtani just missed a homer versus changeup spammer Tommy Kahnle, Gleyber being unable to pick Soto's throw back in and no one being in the area for a backup allowed Shohei to race to third. So when Mookie Betts smacked the fly ball to center, we had ourselves a tied ball game, bringing us to the 9th, where it got weird. Because with 2 outs, Gleyber Torres cracked one deep to left center that seemingly cleared the fence, but it would be because of a spectator reaching onto the field of play for a fan interference. And although this really wasn't consequential since the ball was not going to be a homer, it was still dumb. And this caused a bit of a delay, so with Soto being put on first, Blake Trinan was ready to come out the pen versus Aaron Judge. And when he induced a pop-up from him, the Dodgers had an easy shot to walk it off. But it wouldn't come here when we wrote a 1-2-3 9th to send us to extras, which quickly became the Jazz Chisholm shot, as following him slapping a knock off Trinan, he would go swipe 2nd and 3rd, meaning even though the infield was in, he would race home on this Volpe grounder to throw the Yankees back in front. So in the bottom side, they just needed 3 outs for the win. And despite Cousins getting the first guy out, a walk and a single off defensive replacement as Waldo Cabrera's glove put the winning run on base for Shohei Ohtani, who would be facing Nestor Cortez out the pen, who hasn't pitched since mid-September. And even though he got away with one down the middle when Ohtani seemingly fouled this pitch off, Verdugo actually caught it at the last second before flipping into the stands for the 2nd out. But since he left the field of play, both runners would move up 90 feet, leaving first base open for Mookie Betts, who obviously got walked to create a force at any base with 2 outs. So now, the game comes down to this: 2 outs, the bases juiced, and hobbled former MVP Freddie Freeman stepping up to the plate. With that latter note actually being a familiar scene in LA, as the last time the Dodgers won the World Series in front of an actual crowd was back in 1988, and the first game of that series ended when injured MVP Kirk Gibson ripped this iconic walk-off blast. And well, in 2024, history would repeat itself.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby